Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. However, I'm seeing you, whether it's live or on replay. I'm glad that you made some time to be here today. My name is Suzanne Castle. I'm the founder of Suzanne Castle Consulting. And wow, how about the change of our world? Is anybody else feeling that? Because gosh, I'm feeling it. So if you're on with me, I'd love to hear a howdy, a hi, a something in the comments. And if you're live on YouTube or Facebook, you can use the comment feature to make that happen. And I am so glad to see you. Hi, Karen. Welcome. Glad that you're on. I wanted to spend just a few moments to talk about change. You know, we hear about how after New Year's Eve, and especially at the beginning of this decade, we were all excited. It was going to be 2020. It was going to be an amazing year. We had all these goals and these dreams and these visions and these plans. And oh my heavens, normally 80% of New Year's resolutions are abandoned within a week. But here we are almost in April, and it feels like a whole year has already happened, hasn't it? It's just hard. And so I thought it was time to maybe spend some time with you talking about change, because none of us is immune in these days to change. And I think that we know that change is definitely challenging, and it's challenging for several reasons. And I want to maybe normalize what you're feeling a little bit, and hopefully give you some hope at the end of this. So take a big deep breath and realize that change is challenging. I just got off a call where people were trying to normalize our situation. This isn't normal, okay? And you don't have to leap to figure it out or be the Pinterest mom or the workaholic or super creative. And you don't have to get off your sofa if you don't want to. Although I will say you need to be walking a little bit, like get some fresh air every once in a while. But change is challenging, and what we're going through isn't normal. So I don't want you to expect that the way that you're going to react is also normal. So hi, Micah, glad to see you today as well. So let's spend just a moment talking about how change is challenging. And the first thing I would say is the average person has far more habits than they realize. Every morning you wake up, you have a routine, you take the same path to work, maybe you think the same thoughts as you did before, you've got this list that maybe you go through. Much of your day and night is a repeat of the last 500 of the days and nights. And when you feel bored, you tend to soothe yourself in the same 2 to 3 ways each time. You might only eat a few foods regularly. You talk to the same people. But what happens in the middle of this is our habits go kind of wonky. They're all upside down. Nothing feels the same. And so for many of us, because our habits are a little sideways right now, we're doing some deep thinking, right? And in that deep thinking, we're finding out things either about our society, how we live our life, the relationships that are defining us, not defining us, how we're choosing to be aligned with people, thoughts, and ideas. And that can feel unsettling, to say the least, because change, let's face it, it is so uncomfortable. And so to change, you must be certain that change is in your best interest. Otherwise, your habits will always win. And so I think in this time, what I'm hearing from people is the habits that they had aren't working in these days. One, it's not normal, but two, your habits aren't going to work. This is a new reality we're finding ourselves in. And so maybe your body is saying, one, let's rest in the change, but then maybe two, your brain is doing some deep work on how now do you want to interact with the world. Change is going to be uncomfortable. You already know, to lose 25 pounds, there are things you have to do. To get a different job, there are things that you have to do. But the thought of taking the actions necessary to accomplish those goals definitely creates a discomfort in us. And I think we're all feeling that discomfort are the changes that we're having to make to be a part of the reality we're finding ourselves in. And I would say that I think we're in this survival mode, which means that trauma is more realized. We have kind of the fight or flee kind of responses, maybe moment to moment even, because we are living in this new normal. And your brain then becomes preoccupied with this survival mode. So brain chemists, brain neurologists will tell you our brains are programmed to resist change because what you're doing is allowing you to live. And so when you're in that mode and you're doing those things, your brain's like, great, we're living, we're doing, this is what we're doing. And any change could potentially lead to death. Well, that's what we find ourselves in, is every day it's change after change after change after change. And our brain is trying to kind of hold all that information. Our heart rates are elevated, our sleep patterns are disrupted, and we feel uncertain. Many of us feel miserable. And it isn't easy to change, right? Some of us have tried to change in the past. We failed. We might feel like that's just not going to work for us this time. If you've tried to change several times and failed, part of you maybe says, well, obviously I can't change, so what's the use? And now all these changes are being put upon me, and now I don't know what to do. Well, I would tell you that I think that you need to embrace some small changes then. Everything around us seems so big and so kind of out of sync. It doesn't even seem manageable on a day-to-day kind of mindset or focus. I mean, when you're worried about whether or not you can find toilet paper, let's face it, it's hard to think about big systemic changes that we're probably going to need to be making as a society. But what I will say to you is I'm not all doom and gloom today, because I believe that change is possible with certain effective approaches. So the first thing I would say is, first and foremost, be prepared to continue to change. Every day might require a different kind of response to you. So maybe it's that at the end of the day, you need to be writing down, this is how I changed today. Just settle into that. That's okay. It doesn't mean that's how you're going to be tomorrow. It doesn't mean that that's going to be the normal. It just means this is how I had to change what I was doing today. Expect that change is going to be challenging, but your odds of success will improve if you've prepared yourself to have a plan. So it might be that at the end of the day, you've got to talk about, here's how I had to change, and here's what I need to do differently tomorrow because my life is just different right now. I would also say to start small. So minimize the discomfort that change creates. So only change a little bit each and every day. So you might, I've been writing a lot about meditation and how it can center you in these times of chaos. So maybe meditating for 2 minutes each day is easier than starting with 60 minutes. I love that you're a hard charger, way to go you, but start small. So maybe try 2 minutes today and then 3 minutes tomorrow. And so these little changes become incremental, and the habits that they're creating will forge new pathways in your brain, and you'll find yourself a little more settled in the middle of that. Because the key is to get in the habit of doing the new behavior each day without complete disruption for what you know as your normal. Have patience. I see a lot of impatience. Our news cycles are kind of churning that impatient because things are changing so quickly and so rapidly. As information comes in, we have to turn pretty quickly. No more Titanic, right? And but so I would just say to you, just have as much as you can a sense of patience about what's happening, knowing that things are evolving quickly, and so therefore we need to take a step back and breathe deep. Change, anything change, focused takes time. New habits easily take 30 days to instill. But I want you to just remember to be patient with yourself. So today you might be feeling gross and yucky and not motivated at all. Okay, well, just live into that. What does that mean for you? What should you do to self-care? Tomorrow you might be a hard charger. You can't wait. You're super creative. You're generating, you're talking, you're leading, you're finding creative ways to communicate. Great. Live into that too. But however you're feeling, have patience with yourself. But then I would also say, then be willing to change yourself and face the consequences of that change. I realize that change right now is super scary because we don't really know what the results are going to be. So accept that our lives are going to change in some way. Life will not go back to what it was January 1, or hey, even in 2019, which was just a terrible year for a lot of people. But discomfort isn't always a bad thing. There's a lot of good things that are happening. People are creatively reaching out to people. We're realizing that the importance of face-to-face communication. Many people are meeting their neighbors. People are getting outside more. The ozone is getting cleaner. There are good things coming from these changes. So be willing to kind of sit with that and expect that not all changes are going to stick. So even if you're finding some good things that are going on, know that as humans, we tend to relapse. But all we can do is attempt to enhance our approach and keep going. So aim for 90% change, right? That's all you need. That patience factor is super important. And so before I sign off, I just want to remind you the benefits of change and how it can work for you. You do know that change is the constant in the universe. Hell, change is the constant of our every moment right now. But even the sun is not going to last forever. Womp womp. If you were thinking it is, it's not. And change can be stressful. As we all know, right? Even talking about it makes me feel a little anxious. Many of us have changes in our unemployment, in our living arrangements, in our location, how we get our food, how our relationships, those are all very stressful changes. But I will say, while change is stressful, it can deliver some numerous benefits. So here's just a couple. The first is, I don't know how many of you are bored right now, but I'm certainly not. So one of the things I'm trying to do every day is name how my life has changed, and it's not boring. So just to remind myself that, life is great, and sometimes life isn't great, but it's not boring right now. So while I can't be working on my vacation to Greece that I'm supposed to be planning for a group right now, I can still work on it, knowing that it will happen. I can do lots of research. I can find myself excited about when I'm going to get to see my family face to face, or when my partner is not gone overseas delivering medical supplies constantly. I can work on what I'm going to do then, and that helps keep myself a little settled and moving forward. So I think that's one of the best things that we can do. And also remember that change is bringing improvements. So find the way that change is improving for your own self. How are things getting better for you? Are you feeling happier? Are you feeling sad? Are you maybe thinking a change of career? Are there new opportunities for you if you're feeling stuck? Maybe this is a chance for you to just kind of sit with your stuckness and find a way out. Reach out to some collaborators, maybe share with a friend, see if there's some creative things that you can be doing together. I will say some degree of change is going to be required to be at your best. So remember that change is going to build resistance and opportunity. So finally, what I would like to say to you is this: change is challenging. Change is yucky. Change is also amazing. So try to be flexible. Think about your new options. Use this opportunity to find a new perspective about the way you want to be in the world moving forward. Learn. If you choose to see change as only negative, it will only be negative. But how can you use the information that we're getting every day and about how you're living your life to change the way that you are going to be in the world? And finally, then, I've been saying this every day: stay calm. It's really easy to be overwhelmed right now, but excessive stress will make the situation even worse. You will not be at your best when overstressed. So maintain your positive self-talk, maintain positive self-care strategies, disconnect when you can from news and social media, just to give yourself a chance, your brain, to just settle back into what it is. Without change, life's going to become dull and tedious, but I want you to learn to embrace these changes. I'm sending you all my love and all the glittery goodness that I possibly can. Stay calm, stay positive, stay focused. I'll see you soon.